Alright, so in the spirit of consistency, I have selected Tanalorr again. I know that a lot of people want to see Kobo, but I have an issue with Kobo because it's not just simply hard to run. It's hard to run because there's stuff wrong with it still. So if the outcry is big enough, I'll do Kobo. But for right now, we're on Tanalorr, and I really want to just see how this runs in comparison to the 5060 Ti. I'll link that video here. But this is on low settings, no upscaling, and no ray tracing. And this is about 38 FPS right now. So we're just going to see if it can hang at 4K, similar to how the 5060 Ti 16 gigabyte hung at 4K. So right now we're at 40 FPS. We've got 11.3 gigs of allocation, and the camera's going to kind of make me look over this ridge here, but I'm going to switch it back over. Alright, yeah, I did the thing. Look over the ridge, got it. Alright, so let's just kick it on over to medium and then go from there. So it says custom right now just because I turn off some stuff down here and make sure that all this is off. But yeah, for the most part, everything is just strictly low, medium, high, and we're just going to keep going and then see what it takes to get this to run nicely at 4K. Because right now at medium with no upscaling, you know, we're starting to get into some pretty low FPS at 35. So, you know, we're just going to keep running through here. I like this area because there's just no enemies. It's nice and open. It runs well. So that's why I select it all the time. For anyone who is wondering why I keep coming back to this area, that's why. And I like the water gives a nice representation of how water would look, and you get some nice ray tracing reflections onto Cal from that blue water, so it's a nice way to see the impacts of ray tracing. So I have my reasons. Alright, let's just get through this loading area here and get on with the rest of the test here. I'm going to kick it over to high after I get through this area here. Alright, visually though it looks okay. I would like for it to look a little bit better though, so we're going to kick on to high and then we'll go to epic. So this, again, is the high preset. Everything here is still the same, just double checking everything. Alright, so now we're at 36 FPS. Again, this is not upscaled, so we're still, you know, on just native pixel for pixel resolution here. Alright, so 39 FPS. So, I mean, I'm hopeful that we can get some ray tracing in there. I don't expect it to outperform the 5060 Ti, unfortunately, just because the ray tracing tends to hit AMD a little harder still, even though they've made some really nice strides in that area. But for what it's worth, you know, this is a significantly cheaper card, lower cost card if you can get it at retail. So, you know, there is that. Alright, so I'm just going to keep running around here, and then we're going to kick it over to Epic, and then we're going to see what some FSR can do for us. Alright, so let's just come over here and go through the rest of the test, switch that over to Epic, and we are at 36 FPS, 35 FPS. Definitely something you can play. I mean, this isn't like unplayable by any means. You can definitely enjoy this game at this frame rate, but you know, it is under 60 significantly, so I'm going to try to get to that 60 just to make a nice smooth experience for us. So let's just go on over to you know, do some upscaling and see what that kind of does for us before we jump into ray tracing, because I feel like ray tracing is just going to murder this card at the moment, and I definitely don't want to suffer like a crash or anything halfway through. But we'll explore some kind of more unique settings toward the end of the video when I kind of see how I would, you know, how I would play it. So the upscaler is unsupported. Oh, that's NVIDIA, sorry. Alright, so just to double check, we are on an AMD card, so that makes total sense now. I completely forgot for a second. I had a little bit of a panic. Alright, so this is Epic, and we are at quality. Again, this is no ray tracing yet, so we are right around 60. This is a nice experience if you don't really care too much about ray tracing. And to be fair, this game isn't exactly like a ray tracing showpiece by any means, so you can play it like this and not be, you know, missing out on too much. So this looks pretty good. I mean, and you know, on 4K, I believe you can go down to performance and still have a really nice visual experience. because at 4K you're still upscaling from 1080p when you're on that performance setting, and everything still looks really nice. You can even sharpen it a little bit to make it even cleaner. And I'd rather play performance 4K upscaled to 4K rather than native 1080p. To me, it just has that little bit of extra edge to it, since it is at a higher resolution on the output. So for the most part, this is a really good setting as well. So let's just keep going through the rest of those FSR settings and get a nice frame rate, and then we'll see what ray tracing does. So I'm going to go to balanced, and that's going to give us about 8 or 9 more FPS, 10 in some scenarios. So still not above 60 enough for ray tracing, in my opinion. I think ray tracing is really just going to tank us, but we're definitely going to answer that question here. And to be fair, this game has a little bit of age on it, so it might run better than I'm expecting. I haven't tried it yet though, so if you like this kind of content though, please consider subscribing, and when you subscribe and hit the bell, you'll be notified every Sunday to vote in the GPU poll, where we ask you what GPU you want me to use for the following week. So it's a good way to get involved, and we're trying to build a little community here and ask each other good questions, and kind of make it a resource for people who like this kind of thing. So feel free to subscribe and join the channel and participate as much as you feel comfortable doing so. All right, so we're at 70 though. I mean, that's pretty nice in some areas. So it looks like things have kind of like loaded in and settled down, and we're getting a little bit better performance. But let's just jump over to the next level, which I don't scoff at performance DLSS. I mean performance FSR on NVIDIA stuff, but it still looks really good on AMD. Not quite. I mean the slightest bit of less sharp, but let's see if we can go in and sharpen it a little bit, because that would definitely help things out if there's an option to do so. Let's see. I don't see any option to sharpen, so I guess that's outside of our abilities here. But anyway, you can probably sharpen it in the Radeon software to your liking. It doesn't affect the performance at all, but I just wanted to double check that. But yeah, I mean, it looks really good on a $360 card. You're playing at 4K in a recent title that is, performing very well. I mean, we're at 80 FPS here at 4K on a, entry-level AMD card. So for what it's worth, if you're trying to build on a budget, this is an awesome card to go with. You get 16 gigs of VRAM, which is something that you have to pay additional money for whenever you go over to the NVIDIA side if you want the 16 gig version of that 5060 Ti. So dollar for dollar, the AMD definitely wins out. All right, so let's just jump over here and kick on some ray tracing and just see what that does, how it responds. So I'm going to go back up to quality here, and then we're going to turn on the ray tracing and let it do its thing. Okay, so now we are on the ray tracing segment of this test, and I had to do something a little bit I guess, not tricky, but, it doesn't support frame generation directly from the menu. So I've enlisted the help of something called lossless scaling, and you'll see a new number right above the main metrics. It says 33/66. That means that right now on quality FSR with Epic settings, we are running at a base resolution of 31-ish FPS, indicated by the big number there in the main metrics, but the number after that is the frame generated output. So what I'm seeing is 67 FPS. So this is kind of a two birds, one stone solution. So we'll be able to see what the frame generation is before and after frame gen, kind of all at one time. All right, so when I'm on Epic settings with ray tracing and quality FSR enabled, the base frame rate is around 30 FPS, but the output frame rate with lossless scaling enabled, which is just a 2x frame generator. You can download it from Steam. It's like $7. It works great. Is about 64, a little over 60. So, kind of both of these settings are represented here, or both of these outcomes, I guess, from these settings are represented here. So I'm just going to go on over to the next preset here of FSR, and then we'll be able to wrap it up pretty quickly here, actually, with that lossless scaling enabled. So as you can see, that gives us a base frame rate of mid-30s, and then our output, our doubled frame rate from lossless scaling, is in the mid-70s. So that's a pretty nice outcome there. So you're going to have to rely on something like lossless scaling, or since there's no native solution for this card, but lossless scaling, like I said, works on basically every game. It uses AMD's FSR technology anyway, and you can really get some nice results with it because it works, across the board. It's really an amazing piece of technology for $7. So, little plug for that. I'm not in any way affiliated with them, but they do kind of save the day in situations like this where you're trying to boost your frame rate without that native solution. All right, so we kind of know what it looks like here. Let's go to performance with that ray tracing enabled and just really see what we can expect from kind of how I would expect to run it if I wanted to use ray tracing. So you've got a base frame rate of about 40, a little under 40, but you got an output frame rate of 81, and this is again just 2x, and you set it up through lossless scaling. It's super simple to operate, and I'm going to kind of just give you a little sneak peek of what I'm doing here. I'm going to back out of this. Let's go into lossless scaling, and just bear with me while I get my ducks in a row here, so to speak. All right, so this is what it looks like, and right here I'm on the latest model, and mode fixed, no big deal there. You kind of leave everything alone. This is exactly just how it kind of opens up, and you want to draw your FPS, which is what puts it in that top corner. Once I go back to the game, it'll show up, but you just select your multiplier. So that was 2. I'm going to unscale it, and then I'm going to scale it, and you have a little countdown. So if you click on this before you get, before that countdown stops, then you're going to kick in. And it just went from 76 to 95. So now we're on 3x. So this is 3x performance, and this is a nice way to play it as well. So if you have any sort of doubt about being able to play this game, you're going to probably need to use a non-native solution like lossless scaling, but you can jump in here and do 2x, 3x, 4x, 2x on performance is plenty. I think that's a good setting because it gets you over 60, but you're also able to have a decently responsive base frame rate. So right here we're at 35, 36, and on a game like this, that's acceptable. But if you wanted to boost it a little bit more, I just wanted to come in here, and if you want to keep ray tracing on, I would just go with this medium preset, and that's going to give you a lot of the nice visuals from everything that we've already covered. But you're going to be right at 40 FPS, and that's going to give you a little bit better responsiveness. Unfortunately, the frame gen lag indicator up there that says NA is not compatible with something like lossless scaling. So you're just going to have to kind of take my word for it. I am on a controller, and it feels perfectly fine. It feels like any other game that you use a controller on. So that's a way to kind of alleviate if you're worried about lag or whatever. But it's 3x right now, so 38 gets boosted all the way up to 114. And when you kind of remind yourself that you're playing 4K on a card that is considered kind of like an entry-level new card, so it's quite amazing if you know what to use and where to go and what settings to apply. You can get away with playing a game like this pretty easily on this card. So again, if you like this kind of content, just don't hesitate to subscribe and hit the bell and participate in my democratic process where we select the card for next week. And right now the 9060 XT won last Sunday, so this Sunday you should get a notification if you have that bell on, or if you come back and visit the channel page. All right, well, that's going to wrap this up. This has been, a quick look at Jedi Survivor in Tanalorr. All right, appreciate it. Thanks, everyone.